campaign is over, the election begins. Today, you, the people, decide who will lead America for the next 4 years. Good morning, America. I'm Joan London.
And I'm Charles Gibson, and it's Tuesday, November 3rd, Election Day, finally. And I've got a list here of the hours of opening for all the polling places around the country, and with just a few exceptions, the polls are open everywhere at this hour. This election is now where it should be, as Joan said, in the hands of the people. The politicians, the pollsters, and the pundits have had their say, and will again tomorrow. But today belongs to the voters, and we're going to drop in just a few moments to some key polling places around this nation. But Election Day weather is always important, and Spencer has that.
Well, it's not looking great around many parts of the country, Charlie. Here are some scenes from Colorado yesterday where when some of the state's mountainous regions received 10 to 20 inches of snow. Snowfall will continue in Colorado today, as well as in several other states. We'll take a look at our Election Day Outlook map a little bit later.
You go to the polling place in a sleigh drawn by 8 reindeer, is what you did today.
You vote for Santa Claus.
Also this morning, Peter Jennings is going to be along of ABC News. He's going to be our tour guide as he shows some of the high-tech wizardry that will bring the election results to you tonight. Leading the news, though, at this hour, of course, voters going to the polls. And Mike Schneider has that story of the news of the day. Mike?
Thank you, Joan. Good morning, everybody. Americans have time and time again this year made it clear that they want to be in control of their political destiny. And today, of course, is the day that they're out there improving it. Take a look right now. Live pictures coming in from Warren, Michigan, where people are already lining up to exercise their constitutional right to vote for President of the United States and, of course, for a variety of other offices as well. Yesterday was the last day of the campaign, but yesterday apparently isn't over yet. Bill Clinton is still out there, still looking for votes. He kept on campaigning through the night with a swing to the west. Ross Perot wrapped things up last night with some more infomercials. And George Bush called it a campaign with a sentimental homecoming in Houston. We have a series of reports right now, and we begin with the Clinton campaign and ABC's Ron Claiborne.
Starting out at a diner in Philadelphia, Governor Clinton campaigned virtually nonstop for 24 straight hours, hopscotching across the country as if he were the underdog instead of leading in the polls. His voice still raspy from laryngitis. Clinton went to Cleveland in a last-ditch bid to carry Ohio, an important battleground state where his lead is all but evaporated.
Teddy Roosevelt once said that we should walk softly and carry a big stick. Today I want to talk softly and carry Ohio.
Michigan is another key state, so Clinton stopped there for a rollicking rally held inside an airplane hangar. The purpose of these tarmac campaign appearances was to pump up the crowds of party faithful, and especially the much larger audience who would see the proceedings later on the local television news.
Use your vote tomorrow to vote for change, for hope, for unity, for a better day for America.
Clinton made 2 stops in Texas, in Fort Worth, and in McAllen, in the heavily Hispanic Rio Grande Valley. Now running dead even with Bush in the president's home state, he is pinning his hopes there, in part, on a large Latino turnout.
South Texas started this campaign all the way to victory in the Texas primary, but it did something far more important. It was in South Texas that I first began to have the opportunity to reach out to the Hispanic community of the United States everywhere.
After leaving Texas, Clinton stopped in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Our opponents have run out of energy, run out of ideas. It's time to run them out of Washington and run in a crowd who will think about you.
From New Mexico, Clinton travels to Denver, Colorado, his last stop, and then home to Little Rock, Arkansas, where he'll vote and then wait. Mike?
Ron, any worries about the weather on Election Day? There have been forecasts for all sorts of bad weather all the way across the country.
There is some concern because the Democrats believe a big voter turnout works in their advantage, and there, as you said, is supposed to be some inclement weather in some of the eastern states, which they believe they have to win, such as Pennsylvania and New Jersey. So, yes, there is some concern there.
ABC's Ron Claiborne reporting for us this morning on the last day of the Clinton campaign. No matter what happens today, no matter whether he wins or loses, President Bush has now said he has campaigned for himself for the very last time. And it ended last night with a big rally in Houston. More on that from ABC's Ann Compton.
George Bush came home to Texas knowing he is trailing. But his final day of dawn-to-dark campaigning was emotional for another reason. He declared it will bring an end to his campaign career.
And tonight in Texas, I will give my last speech ever on my own behalf as a candidate for re-election as President of the United States.
Shedding the bitter rhetoric of the past few weeks, President Bush asked Americans for their vote.
Well, look at your vote, especially the young people. Look at your vote as an act of power, a statement of principle.
With Barbara Bush at his side, the president could be seen saying, "It's all over." President Bush says if he wins, the White House will be more activist, unshackled by politics. And, Mike, he doesn't talk about losing.
Think about the campaign, and what stands out in your mind most of what you've witnessed over the past several months, and where this campaign has gone and where it attempted to get and didn't get, perhaps?
I think perhaps the campaign, when it started, the president thought he had such a mandate coming out of the Persian Gulf War that he really didn't expect to have this kind of trouble. He should have foreseen it earlier in the year. He says perhaps he should have campaigned harder earlier.
Okay, thanks very much. ABC's Ann Compton live for us this morning covering the Bush campaign. As for Ross Perot, he ended his campaign with some infomercials last night on the three big TV networks, and there was a rally in Dallas, his hometown. And we get more on that right now from ABC's Linda Patillo.
There was no last-minute cross-country campaign sprint for Ross Perot, just one final hometown rally at high noon.
We will landslide this thing if the people vote their conscience.
He did not repeat the withering attacks on his opponents that he made over the weekend, but he did take on the pollsters who say he cannot win.
All these pollsters that use yellow wooden pencils to do their calculations, I bet there are tooth marks all over those pencils today, right?
And to his standard stump line that the other candidates think he and his supporters are crazy, he added a new note.
And we want to close on our theme song. Let's hit it, Ed. We're crazy. Crazy for feeling so lonely. We're crazy. Crazy for feeling so blue.
In keeping with his unconventional campaign style, there will be no photos of Ross Perot voting today. He's already voted absentee. We won't see him again until late tonight. He plans to spend the evening watching the returns with his family at home. Again, no cameras allowed. Mike?
One wonders, though, Linda, if this doesn't turn out to be the year that Mr. Perot makes it to the White House, will there be another attempt, or is the Perot movement over, finished, period, end of sentence?
Even if the candidate is finished running for office, Mike, I doubt that his supporters and their involvement in politics will be through. The one legacy Ross Perot leaves behind is having attracted many voters disenchanted with the political system back into that system.
Linda, thanks so much. ABC's Linda Patillo live with the Perot campaign in Dallas. ABC News coverage of the presidential election continues on World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. And continuous coverage begins at 7 o'clock Eastern Time with Peter Jennings and David Brinkley. That's it for now. Time to check in with Charlie and Spencer.
All right, thanks very much, Mike. That coverage will be in the studio right next door.
Oh, yeah.
That's where all the toys are.
That's right. I want to go over and take a look.
We'll get a tour of those, actually, for you in our 7:30 half hour. But
Yeah.
Spencer's got the election day weather, and it does look a little grim in Colorado. How about the rest of the country?
Yeah, look, it's looking pretty grim over a wide area, Charlie.
Chapter 7. As of this morning, it is all in the hands of the voters, and that's where we start today. Steve Fox and Denise Richardson have been checking in with voters in two highly significant battleground states, Michigan and Florida. We go first to Steve Fox, who's at the Davis Island Community Church in Tampa, Florida. Steve, good morning.
Good morning, Joan. You know, on a day like this, there are no states that George Bush can afford to lose, but there are a couple of big electoral vote states which he is unlikely to win because he's so far behind in the polls. States like New York and California and Illinois. So that makes Florida, with its 25 electoral votes, all the more important to Mr. Bush. And as of this morning, the race here is thought to be dead even or perhaps leaning toward President Bush. Now, traditionally, Florida has been a GOP stronghold. Ross Perot took some votes away from President Bush in the middle part of the state, but the Latin American community, conservative, down around Miami, is thought to be voting loyally Republican today. The polls here close at 7 p.m. If after 7, Bill Clinton is declared the winner in Florida, the race could be over nationwide. But if Mr. Bush pulls it out in Florida, his come-from-behind attempt is alive and kicking. I'd like you to meet Sandy Lockery. Hi, Sandy. Who are you going to vote for?
I'm going to vote for Mr. Bush.
No doubt about it.
None whatsoever.
You've known that for some time, huh?
For some time.
On what basis are you voting for him?
I'm not voting my pocketbook this election.
You're not?
No, I'm not. He's very family-oriented, and that's why I'm voting for him.
Sandy, you and I talked about this earlier. How do you think this election is going to go?
I think Mr. Bush is going to win.
You think he's going to surprise people?
Yes.
What do you base that on?
Well, first of all, let me say that Mr. Perot, I think, is very family-oriented, and I think his family was a great asset.
But you think Mr. Bush is going to pull it out?
I think he's going to win, right.
I think there will be a lot of surprised people. Okay, let's meet Sheila and Harry Bass.
Good morning.
Good morning. Now, you know who you're going to vote for, right?
Yes, I do.
Who are you voting for?
Governor Clinton.
And why?
Well, I like what he has to say about the economy, about health care. I just like his ideas.
Harry, who are you going to vote for? Are you going to walk in there in this line in a couple of minutes? Who are you going to vote for?
You know what? I haven't decided yet.
Honestly? Honest to God?
Honest to God, I won't know until I get inside the booth.
And what will you base your decision on? You're hoping that your hand goes to one of the levers?
Yes, by impulse. I'm between Bush and Clinton, actually, and I really don't know which one I'm going to go right at the moment.
All right. Real briefly, who do we think is going to win this?
I'm undecided. I think it's up for grabs at this point.
Even
yes,
with Mr. Clinton having this big lead in all the polls?
Yes, I really do.
Harry?
Yes.
I feel the same way.
Okay, one last person, Scott Bachman. Scott, who are you voting for?
I'm voting for Ross Perot.
Any concern that you could be throwing your vote away by voting for someone who probably is not going to win, as you acknowledge yourself?
I don't believe I'm throwing my vote away. I think by voting for him, hopefully he can get enough votes to send a clear message to whoever gets elected that they need to address the deficit issue more than it's been addressed by the candidates.
Okay, thanks very much. That's the view from Tampa, Florida. Let's go to Denise Richardson in Michigan. Denise?
Oh, thank you, Steve. I'm in Michigan. It's one of the key swing states, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Michigan. There are 18 electoral votes up for grabs here. Clinton's in a slight lead here. We won't know how that turnout's going to be. This is the Reagan-Bush, would you say, Reagan-Bush Democratic stronghold. In the last 12 years, these folks here, who are primarily Democrats, have voted Republican in the national election, but in local elections, they tend to vote Democratic. And now I have some voters behind me, and I'm curious, some of these folks have voted, some haven't. Who's voted, and where'd you go? You voted?
I voted this morning, and I voted for Clinton and Gore.
And why?
Well, I'm a little Bush to Bush.
Are we talking about voting your pocketbooks here?
No. I voted because of the nation's economy and the world's economy. And I will vote for Bush.
You will vote for Bush?
I will vote.
Anybody voting their pocketbook?
I voted for Bush, and it was basically because of the taxes. I'm getting sick of tax and spend, tax and spend, tax and spend.
Now, I happen to know you're a Perot supporter.
Right. I voted for him because I got fed up with the other two trying to make each other look bad. I want to change.
In terms of change, what kind of a change? Would you like a change, too, as well?
No, basically, I think things have been going fairly well, but there are a number of issues that go into play when you go into the polling booth. So you have to consider more than one single issue.
And what are you considering when you go into that polling booth?
Obviously, the economy is one, but things like character and leadership are important, and I think that might give you a hint where I'm going. But I'd rather not specifically say.
All right. Any folks ready to change their minds when they go in to pull that lever? No. You're pretty much decided. So if we were to judge by this poll, say the Reagan-Bush Democrats are holding, so Bush looks pretty good here. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. One of the factors that we have to look at is the issue of trust. And Clinton seems to be telling a different story to every crowd, just trying to get their vote.
Now, there's another issue on the ballot. It's the proposition to limit the term of your representatives in Congress. So how would you...
I think we should. Very, very definitely. We've had the guys in Congress too long.
Yeah.
Ted Kennedy, Strom Thurmond.
We could have done it by voting.
Those that never got voted out, they could have been, but they did not.
No. This is America at its best. You should be able to vote who you want in and who you want out and not limit them at that level.
If Bush is reelected, you're sending him back into office with some kind of a mandate. What's the mandate?
Improve the economy, make sure the world conditions are stable. We have problems in Serbia, Iran, Ethiopia, Russia. We can't just let this go and hope that the novice can handle these world problems.
Briefly, what's the mandate for Clinton?
I hope he does that better than Bush has. I don't think Bush and Reagan, those 12 years, that didn't get much done.
Homeless and needy. Evidently, these voters are saying it's time for a change. We won't find out until tonight. Polls close here. I'm at the Father Brett Center at St. Sylvester's Church in Warren, Michigan. Polls close here at 8 o'clock tonight. We'll see then.
All right.
To you, Joan.
Denise and Steve, thank you both very much. Coming up next, a breakthrough in giving voters just the facts about the candidates when Good Morning America continues.
19 now after 7. A question everyone has asked this year. How do you sort through the political rhetoric and find out where the candidates really stand? Well, you might try Project Vote Smart. It's a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that has proven a runaway hit. Tens of thousands of Americans have called the project to get the facts about every presidential, congressional, and gubernatorial candidate running today. They provide no political endorsements, no recommendations. As Sergeant Friday would say, they just gave the facts, ma'am. A little background this morning. Joining us from the project's home at Oregon State University in Corvallis is Director Richard Kimball and Jody Bass, who coordinates the student intern program. And I thank you both for joining us. Richard, let me start with you. How does this work?
Well, it's very simple. All you have to do is remember that these candidates are nothing more than the hired help, and these are supposed to be their applications of employment this campaign. And what we have done is force them to fill out the application with or without their cooperation. We have their bios, their voting records, their campaign finances, the performance evaluations done by every organization nationally that does one, Right to Choose versus Right to Life, labor, business, and so forth.
So somebody calls you. Do you give them written information on the candidates, or do you just relay information over the phone?
They actually have their option, but most people today will be calling these students that are staffing computers in rooms throughout this building. They can instantly access factual information about the candidates, so you don't have to listen to them. You can actually check the credibility of these often outrageous claims they're making in these last-minute commercials.
Richard, who funds your organization?
We are very limited in the money we can take. We cannot take any money from any interest that lobbies, so we have to depend solely on citizens that become members and try to chip in and help us pull this off.
Okay. Jody, let me turn to you. I see that there's a lot of students manning the phones. Give me a typical call. I mean, if I were calling, for instance, from Pennsylvania, and I call your 800 number, and I say I want information on the Specter-Yakel Senate race, what would you give me?
Well, you have some options. As Richard mentioned, I would ask if you're interested in a specific issue, or if you're interested in campaign finance or biographical information. And then, depending on what your answer is, I would look up recording material.
Now, anybody has their biases. What do the students who man these phones do about their own biases?
Well, we have a sign outside that says, check our politics at the door, and we take that very seriously. We are nonpartisan and non-biased, and that's the foundation of our organization is to remain nonpartisan and to really offer a different service for voters to contact.
That's a nice sign outside the door that says, check your biases at the door, and the sign right behind you says, quiet please, democracy is being reborn here, right? I like those. Right. I like those signs that you've got. So Richard, where's the database come from that provides the information?
Yeah, we work with the Congressional Quarterly on collecting the biographical data. We have all the candidates' voting records, and the citizens don't need to know bill numbers or bill titles, just the bill categories, environment, education, so forth. We work with the Federal Election Commission and the Center for Responsive Politics on collecting all the campaign finances, so you can find out if the money's coming in-state or out-of-state or what interest. I want to give your 800 number, Richard, because I know that's important. The toll number, the toll-free number, I should say, is 1-800-786-6885. 786-6885, and I appreciate your being with us.
Remember Drexel Burnham, the Wall Street junk bond kings? Bob Packwood does, because when he wrote the tax code, he gave them a special $20 million tax break. And Packwood, he got $10,000 in contributions. Arco, $5 million break, $4,000 contribution, $8 million for a luxury cruise liner, $2,000 to Packwood. And this year, Packwood saved a $100 million tax break for big log exporters, paid for by us. Tax breaks for the rich, contributions for him. What about us?
After casting your vote, stop by your favorite Emporium store for our Election Day Power Sales. Today only, save 25 to 34% on men's and young men's sweaters. Save 30% on the entire stock of Mrs. Active sportswear. And girls' playwear from Buster Brown and Carter's is 50% off. Plus our campaign promise to you, free custom gift wrap and basic alterations. Don't miss the savings during the Election Day Power Sales. Happening today only, and only at Emporium.
If you wanted to clean himself swimming this week, he was not in the loop, but he certainly is in the soup, and the soup is getting hotter.
Reverend Jesse Jackson, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Paula?
Thank you, Harry. 24 minutes before the hour. Get ready for a shift to the right. Pat Buchanan is coming up next on CBS This Morning.
I feel fantastic. For 40 years, I've been eating grape nuts and feeling great.
Why does John Flays love grape nuts so much?
If you eat something like grape nuts that is fat-free, I feel good.
Grape nuts, the fat-free natural energy source.
Talking about a natural energy that stays with you all morning. I love the taste of grape nuts, and I like the texture of it. Trying other cereals brings me right back to grape nuts.
Breakfast with post-grape nut cereal helps keep you going strong all morning long.
Take a week. Try them. I know you're going to like them.
New Yoplait Parfait style yogurt. What's to like? 3 layers. Real creamy. Fun to eat. Oh, it's low fat, too. So, how do you like that? Parfait style Yoplait. Do it for you.
When Jeffrey catches a cold, we see the pediatrician.
I love my pediatrician. He's my dad.
We have a live-in doctor. He recommends Dimetap Elixir.
For colds, doctors recommend Dimetap for their families and yours.
Kmart's got a great sale on Echo Baker's secret bakeware.
What's the secret?
There's special pans, all your cookies and cakes slide right off, and everything looks beautiful.
I'll never tell.
Terrific prices on door cell batteries. What size does my tape player use?
AA.
And my calculator?
AA.
What's the 23rd letter of the alphabet?
W. Ha.
You're good.
You didn't tell me Kmart had clothes like this. Sure I did. You didn't believe me.
This man's incredibly close, comfortable shave comes from the Norelco razor. But to see how he got it, we must go back to when he began shaving. Not just above the skin, but below it. Here, our lift and cut system lifts the hair so when it's cut, it can drop below skin level without the blades touching your face. Try it, and you'll keep going back to Norelco for a perfect shave. Norelco, we make close, comfortable.
This portion of CBS This Morning is sponsored by Tartar Control Aquafresh. It's striped to fight.
It's 21 minutes before the hour. When Campaign 92 began, Pat Buchanan was one of the president's most severe critics and a rival for the GOP nomination. By convention time, he was solidly on the Bush bandwagon. He joins us this morning from Washington. Good morning. Nice to see you.
Morning, Paula. How are you?
Good, thanks. Even President Bush's advisors are conceding it's going to be very difficult for him to build the 270 electoral votes he needs to win.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think he can do it?
Well, obviously, the undecided, Paula, have to break in the president's direction almost unanimously if the numbers we see are accurate.
Isn't that a pretty big assumption?
Well, I think it is a big assumption, no question about it. And also, I think the Perot vote, honestly, is going to diminish as the people go to the polls because they're going to realize this is between the president and Bill Clinton. And I think a lot of those Perot voters are fairly angry with things in Washington, but I'm not sure they trust Bill Clinton.
Yeah, our polls would indicate that the Perot vote won't affect Mr. Clinton or Mr. Bush at all. There won't be a net gain for either candidate.
Well, I would disagree. I think that the hardcore Perot vote, I think if you took it out of the election, a lot of those are Reagan Democrats, and I think their disagreements with Clinton over the trustworthiness issue are probably even greater than their apprehensions over where the economy's been going the last 2 years. So I would think the Perot vote, if it were taken out of the equation, would go to Mr. Bush. I think George Bush still has a fighting chance for this thing, Paul, and I don't think anybody ought to write him off. And I would hope the voters who believe in the president or Republican principles and conservatism would go out and go out to the polls and express themselves.
But are you saying the only way he can pull this off is for those undecided voters to go in his direction? Is that the strategy as you see it?
Well, Paula, I mean, simple math would tell you if it is true that the president's behind 8 points, he's going to have to get the majority of the undecided, some Perot voters, and maybe a handful of Clinton voters, yes.
In retrospect, do you think the president made a mistake by reaching out to the more conservative wing of the party? Should he have spent more time wooing the moderate wing of the Republican Party?
I'll tell you, Paula, my view is that the conservatives are coming home to George Bush. And if George Bush has been hurt by anything in this campaign, it's not conservatives who are coming home, but it really is the relentless hostility of the national press. I have never seen a campaign where the media have been more open in their bias and their hostility to a candidate than they have to George Bush and to Dan Quayle and to the Republican convention as opposed to the Democratic convention, which they virtually canonized. And I think the president feels that way, and a lot of people feel that way in the country. Yeah. And I think a backlash against the media was one of the things last week that was driving the president up to that 1% margin.
You mentioned the conservatives going home. Did they have any place to go but to George Bush? They're not going to vote for Governor Bill Clinton or Ross Perot, are they?
Well, no, I'll tell you, a lot of my voters in the primaries called me and told me after the primary, Pat, we're going with Ross Perot. And I've talked to them, some of them this fall, and some of them are still there. And I would urge them, tell them that, look, this is between Clinton and the president. And you elect Bill Clinton, and you're going to get a couple of major tax increases and Mario Cuomo on the Supreme Court. Now, do you really want that? And that's my hope on the final day, that these conservatives will take a good look at Bill Clinton. Do you really want Bill Clinton standing up there in Normandy 2 years from now with those white crosses behind him on the 50th anniversary